it's a big show.
Must dig my dig in the mashed potatoes. Go hog.
It's a team sport. It's not a talent-based sport.
We got Bobby fucking Petrino back. If I'm honest with myself right now, it's a cool 12-0. Oh, look at that tornado. Baby, kegs and eggs.
I don't think we had a guy on that field that didn't play in the NFL, and about 4 or 5 of them were first-round draft picks. And I think that team won a national championship, but I'm not sure. And they run through our ass like shit through a tin horn, man, and we could not stop them.
Whoa, did Saban replace Mason at the end? Is that a new addition?
I think Jim left us a little Easter egg here. Welcome, everybody, to the college football tailgate, the big show, as we like to call it. I'm your host for the day, Chase Sessoms, the Wolf of Oaklawn, joining, as always, the man, the myth, the legend, the Uncle Rico, Erik. Erik, we just heard Saban say the words shit through a tin horn.
Hey, buddy. I love it. I saw the clip when Saban said, God, what did he say? That $20 million don't mean shit if you're not playing the right players.
That's a good point. It's an excellent point with NIL.
What's up with you, man? Missed you guys last week. Was at a little bit of a youth football game. Got into with some crazy mom in the stands. Just doing my business, dude.
It's always fun to get into fights at youth sporting events.
It wasn't really like a fight. I mean, she gave me a glare and then she made a comment and I made a comment back. But I mean, if I'm sitting here watching a youth football game and I just say, boy, you can really tell who the coach's kids are. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that statement. I'm not swearing. I'm not yelling. I just made the statement to my sister.
Man, if you watch a college football game, they talk about coaches' kids all the time, right?
Oh. Some lady got upset and, we had a couple words, but no fists were thrown.
There we go. Well, let's take a look real quick. Here, we got some comments already. I hate the Lakers wants to know what the F with FIU last week, Uncle Rico. I don't.
I mean, like, I'll scored 7 points, got to stop. Florida Atlantic fumbled on their own 12, missed the field goal. Florida Atlantic kicked. FIU muffed the pump. Florida Atlantic scored. 2 plays later, pick 6. 2 plays after that, fumble in their own 15, and the wheels just fell off. It was just a big, from going up to being up 10 to just being down 21 in a span of like 4 minutes was just insane.
And we got Let's Make Some Money says, nice call on San Jose State last night. What about me? I was on the over too, guys. Come on. Sports Facts says, please tell me we aren't betting OK State today. And
I am not betting OK. I'm not betting OK State today.
I've got no stake in OK State either. And he says Michigan State. I assume Bobby Thomas is saying Michigan State is going to win today. Real quick, let's check. Jim, I think, updated the standings for us here.
I'm doing rough.
I'm surprisingly 500. Which
it was a rough week for me last week, but I'm looking to bounce back.
I'm 500, fortunately in the black. But if I know anyone can make a big single day move, it's our man Uncle Rico. So I'm not too worried about how that looks. Uncle Rico, are you ready to dig into some of today's games?
I'm ready, man. Let's do it.
All right, we're starting with the 11 o'clock slot. First game, we got Tulane, Louisiana Lafayette. Tulane, a 1.5 point favorite. Louisiana Lafayette plus 100 on the money line, and then a total of 53.5. Did you touch?
I actually did here. I took Louisiana. I got it at 2.5. I would actually, still play it at the current number. Just an awful spot for Tulane. Tulane had high hopes coming into the season, going to make the college football playoffs, coming off back-to-back losses to K-State and Oklahoma. That dream is gone. Plus, you have South Florida, which is a conference game on deck. hard to real gauge Louisiana looking at their metrics, because when you look at their schedule, who really have they played? But I can tell you this, Tulane hasn't looked good throwing the ball. And I really think that's going to be the key right there. If they can't establish the run, they're going to be behind the chains so much. They're not going to be able to move the ball. Running it, Tulane is 132 per PFF in tackling. That's not good going against a heavy Louisiana rush base team. One thing about Louisiana is historically they haven't turned the ball over. I think that's going to continue here. I think this is just a good spot to fade Tulane. I think Tulane's not going to be able to move the ball on the ground. This is going to force them to run. That's just a bad matchup with the spot and the intangibles. I'll take Louisiana here. I got them at 2.5, but you know what? I would play them at the current line.
I like where you're catching them with a tough spot after two big time power four foes back to back and playing close games. You got to think that they're a little bit beat up from Oklahoma as well as Kansas State. All right, moving on. Speaking of Kansas, we got the Kansas Jayhawks and the West Virginia Mountaineers. West Virginia laying 1 point at home, minus 105 for Kansas on the money line, and the total set at 57. I didn't touch this game. I think if we were at Kansas, I would probably dabble with Kansas, but with it being a home game for West Virginia, I stayed away.
I completely stayed away too.
Next up, James Madison and North Carolina. North Carolina, a 10-point favorite, plus 325 on the money line for the Dukes. 48.5 is the total. I also stayed away from this one.
North Carolina was their second starting quarterback third starting quarterback in 4 games. I want nothing to do with this game.
Absolutely. Next game, 11 o'clock, Houston and Cincinnati. Cincinnati is the 3-point favorite. Houston plus 140 on the money line. Total set at 47.5. I don't know if Uncle Rico played. I know I played here.
I have nothing in this game.
I went ahead and I took Houston on the money line here. I think Willie Fritz has got this team pointed in the right direction. They're going to Cincinnati, but it's not like they're going to Cincinnati in the dead of winter or anything. I think that they're the most talented team on the field, quite honestly. So I'm getting plus 140 on the money line. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go, take that bait and say that Houston beats Cincinnati straight up, because Cincinnati really hasn't showed much this season at all.
And they blew that game. I still can't believe that blew that game against Pitt. They were dominating that game, and to allow Pitt to come back, who really doesn't have that explosive offense. I mean, that's a team I want nothing to do. So if I were going to take a bet, I'd look to fade Cincinnati.
All right, moving on. We've got Rice and Army here at the 11 o'clock slot. Army, the 7-point favorite. Rice plus 250 on the money line. Total of 43.5. I know I skipped.
That's just too much, especially with a service academy. I like to take service academy as dogs, not in when they're laying points.
No. Especially whenever your offense rolls pretty much through one person with the triple option quarterback. Was it Bryson Daly? Like, if they shut him down, then that game is pretty well over. Oh, by the way, saw a comment here. Someone, I'm not going to try to pronounce that name. He wants 2 free picks for today. Listen, as Uncle Rico just pointed out, every pick here is free. There is no charge. You can listen for free, and we'll be glad to give you our picks.
Share our insight. Chase and I are posting free stuff every single day. Don't charge here. You want some picks? You want some winners? We'll give it to you. Hopefully.
Yep. Now, moving on, still at the 11 o'clock slot, we got NC State and Clemson. Clemson laying 17.5 to the Wolfpack, plus 750 on the money line. Oh, how the mighty have fallen for NC State, and total to the 44.
I know at the beginning of the year, if I were to tell you the spread would be this high, you'd tell me I was crazy. NC State, McCall's a little banged up. They just really haven't looked good at all. Look, I want nothing to do with this game. Obviously my NC State take going into this year was just wrong. This is a pure pass for me.
Yeah, I agree. They haven't looked good with Grayson McCall. It feels like they struggle against Western Carolina, the Catamounts. They get absolutely housed by Tennessee. Like, where is the NC State we've been waiting for? I'm not sure that we're ever going to get it. Next game, Florida, Mississippi State. Florida laying 6.5 here, which is understandable given Mississippi State's loss to, was it Akron or Toledo? Toledo. Mississippi State plus 200 on the money line, total set at 58.5. I didn't play this game, but this total screams under to me for some reason.
Yeah, I want nothing to do with this game. I mean, who is Florida to be laying that many points?
Good question. Moving on, we've got...
You trust Mississippi State after just getting boat raced. I mean, that wasn't like a last-second field goal win. That was like utter domination. That was
it like 41-17?
41-17, not even close. Beat down from the beginning.
Beat down from the MAC from the beginning. You know, it's take note when the
lost basically everyone that was doing anything on both sides of the ball last year. Like, it just a brutal showing for Mississippi State.
Speaking of what could be brutal showings, Charlotte rolls into Indiana. Indiana laying 29 points. They have taken off the money line on this, and the total set at 50.5. Another game that screams maybe under to me unless Indiana puts up 50 on their own. Another don't touch because I could see Indiana winning this by 30.
That James Madison coach to me just screams like, hey, I'm a jackass. You suck. I'm going to run up the score just because I can type of guy.
Right.
Am I wrong? Doesn't he kind of give that vibe? Like,
oh, totally. It's it's like he's still got the little man syndrome from James Madison, you know, like not only do I have to win, I got to win big.
And I'll tell you what, I mean, Indiana is ahead of the curve. I think they're going to be able to be that team like, oh shit, 8 wins, maybe F around, get a little 9 winnage. But I know I'm in a college football survivor, and Indiana was my pick this week.
I think that's a good call. I feel like you probably survived there. Moving on, 11:45 kickoff. The Kentucky Wildcats against the Ohio Bobcats. Kentucky laying 19.5. Ohio plus 850 on the money line. Total set at a paltry 42.5. I don't think Uncle Rico touched, but I did. I got in here. I took Ohio plus 19.5. I think you've got a emotionally deflated Kentucky team after they barely lost to Georgia. And I think that's going to take the wind out of their sails. I'm going to give a chance for another Ohio MAC school to go ahead and cover here. So give me Ohio plus 19.5 on the letdown after the big game angle.
MAC just owning the SEC.
See, let's make some money says, are you betting the morning line on Ohio? Come on, put on some big boy pants. I've got some money line bets here, but I'm not taking the money line on Ohio. I do like to talk shit about Kentucky, but I'm not foolish with my money. Moving on to noon. We got Ball State, the Central Michigan Chippewas, minus 6.5 for Central Mich, plus 210 on the money line for Ball State. Total set at 51. This was a skip for me.
I have not been impressed by Central Michigan at all to start the season. If I were to bet it, it would be Ball State, but I'm in the same boat as you. Skippy skip for me.
Is it just me, or has Eastern Michigan been the most impressive directional Mich so far this year?
Oh, I think it's been Western Michigan.
You think of Western?
I mean, dude, in a position to beat Wisconsin, you know, I think Western Michigan has looked good. Obviously they got boat raced by Ohio State, but it's Ohio State.
Yeah. On to 1:00. We've got the Virginia Cavaliers taking on the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. Virginia's laying 3.5. I think that's an interesting line. Coastal Carolina plus 145. I guess Coastal getting the small school disrespect for an average to below average Virginia team, and what turns out to be a fairly decent Coastal Carolina Tim Beck Chanticleers team here. Once again, didn't touch, but
the Tim Beck effect really hasn't taken effect with Coastal Carolina yet. You know what I mean? Like
when does the Tim Beck effect kick in?
I don't know. Like to me, UVA should always be that team with how much talent's in that area should be a lot better, but they can never just seem to get the right pieces. The last time they were good was when Bronco was the coach. But look, I want nothing to do with this team.
Like Virginia regards themselves as some sort of like academic destination. Do you think that it's their like admission policy that's keeping them from being competitive with all that talent that they have around them every year?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Moving on, 1 o'clock, Arkansas State at number 20, Iowa State. Iowa State laying 21 points plus 1,000. That's 10-1 for the Arkansas State Red Wolves on the money line. Total set at 52. I didn't touch. If I were to dabble, go figure, I would be on the Arkansas State line.
I mean, you kind of have to. You know, Iowa State, big win, coming from behind, kicking that field goal, beating Iowa for the first time in how long? Week off, whole week of everyone telling you how good you are, being the talk of the campus, going to frat parties, going to bars, getting free beer. But, you know, I'm going to pass.
Yeah. Utah State at Temple. Utah State on the road laying 6.5. Temple at home 210 on the money line. 53 points is the total. I don't think that anyone should touch a Temple game for the rest of the season. Quite honestly, unless you've got just a red hot hunch.
There's a handful of games that Temple can win this year, and this is one of them. But I'm not touching it.
2 o'clock, we got Southern Miss, the Golden Eagles taking on Jacksonville State. Southern Miss getting 6 points. Jack State, laying 6. Plus 185 on the money line for Southern Miss. Over under set at 60. This is probably one of my worst takes of the offseason, that Jacksonville State would just automatically have the same sort of success as they did last year under Rich Rod, because it's good for Jacksonville State so far. So I'm surprised that they're favored against anyone right now.
Yeah, again, nothing to do with them. I was really disappointed. There was that game where they played, it was against Coastal, and they just totally got manhandled at the point of attack, and that really stood out to me. So, yeah.
That was their opener, and it was just shock and awe in that game. Completely shock and awe against Coastal. Moving on, 2:30, number 11 USC taking on number 18 Michigan. USC, the road favorite, -5. Michigan plus 165 on the money line. Total set at 44. I know I'm in on this. What about you?
I really, really wanted to get to Michigan, but I couldn't make a case for it. I couldn't come up with the X's and O's, the situational, the numbers, the math. So I just stayed away.
I went ahead. I made a play here, and I went with USC minus the 5. I think the difference in this game is quite simple, and I think it's quarterback play. The difference is that USC has a quarterback, and Michigan has maybe half a quarterback. They're going to be starting Alex Orji. I could maybe even see this game going under because Michigan being so devoted to the run with Orji more than likely. But yeah, I'm on USC -5 here. I think they cover. I think they walk into the big house and they get a big win.
I can see it. Like, Michigan's quarterback play is awful. It's just going to be run right, run left. You know, a lot of dink and dunk. Quarterback. They didn't spend the NIL money wisely when it came to the quarterback position, and it's definitely showing. So I can see it. I'm staying away from it.
I'm blaming Jim Harbaugh. He left the covered bare before he left for the NFL. I hate the Lakers asked, what happened to App State on Thursday? I will tell you what happened to App State on Thursday. They got the brakes beaten off of them. They got dominated at the line, and USA just ran all over them. Let's see. What about Michigan money line first half? That's a pass for me. Let's make some money.
I mean, like, if you were going to bet Michigan, I think that's how you bet Michigan.
I agree.
if Michigan has any chance in this game, realistically, they need to play like a service academy. And I think moving forward, betting Michigan, that's kind of how we have to look at them this year. Limit the possessions, run the clock out, kind of like that. But you're right. If you're going to bet this game, I think USC is the right bet, but I didn't do it.
Is Michigan the new Iowa?
Probably, yeah. That's a good analogy.
Moving on, Miami of Ohio against Notre Dame at 2:30. We've got Notre Dame laying 27.5. Money line is off. Total set at 44. They already got their neck crack game out of the way against Purdue. I don't know what I'm going to get out of Notre Dame. Miami of Ohio, that's a fairly decent MAC team. I'm staying away.
Is there any – so Notre Dame's done. There's no way they can recover from this, right, and make the college football playoff?
I think if they run the table, they can maybe have a chance, but they have to finish as high as fifth pretty much to make it in.
I think it's done. I think the dream is done.
I wonder if that means Marcus Freeman is done.
I mean, it shouldn't it?
I mean, if you look at his rosters the last few years that he's been there, from top to bottom, they're probably some of the most talented in college football in terms of the line play, some of the skill positions. I would agree. I would agree that it's probably time to be done with Marcus Freeman in South Bend. Moving on, we've got Rutgers, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech laying 3 points here. Total set, money line plus 135 for Rutgers. Total set at 44.5. Uncle Rico, you got to play?
I got one. Great spot here for Rutgers. Vatek on Friday, short week, has Miami on the road opening up conference play. Greg Ciarno as a road dog, 68.8% ATS. Non-conference games, 55% against the number. I just really think that Rutgers is going to have their be able to run the ball at ease. I don't think Vatek is going to be able to stop their run game. We saw Vatek really struggle against Vanderbilt stopping the run, and I think Rutgers has a better run game, and I think they're going to have their way running the ball. In a game like this, which is slow-paced, I always love taking the dogs. And Rutgers doesn't turn the ball over. They're just handoff right, handoff left, 5-yard route, 6-yard route. They do everything to control the game offensively. Their defense is stout against the run. I think they're going to be able to cause some chaos in the backfield. I think they're going to be able to get to Vatek's quarterback. I think they're going to limit Vatek's running game, which is basically all their offense is. I'll take Rutgers here. I got it at 3.5, though. I'd still take the 3, anything over 3.
Let's go Rutgers. On to Kent State. Kent State, the Golden Flash, is taking on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Penn State's laying 51.5. The money line, of course, is off on this. 57.5 is the total. And do you really want to be that guy with the Penn State minus 51.5 ticket in your pocket, no matter how bad Kent State is?
No. Hell no. Hell no.
Yeah.
Jesus
what was this?
Christ.
That's impressive. Yeah, they ran roughshod over. They couldn't tackle anybody. Moving on, we've got it. This is a sneaky good matchup, I think, at 2:30. Georgia Tech, Louisville. Louisville laying 10 points. Georgia Tech plus 300 on the money line. Total set at 56.5.
I don't know what to make of this Louisville team. I really don't know what to think about this Louisville team. The one thing about Georgia Tech, though, is they're basically like a service academy too. And they're going to limit the time of possession, especially now with the new clock rules. Louisville does have Notre Dame on deck. To me, this does kind of have a writing. If we talk tomorrow and Georgia Tech wins, that honestly wouldn't shock me. But I don't have enough info on this Louisville team, so it's a pass.
We've got UCLA The Bruins are headed to Death Valley to take on the LSU Tigers. Minus 21.5 for LSU, plus 1,000, 10 to 1 for UCLA on the money line. 56.5 is the total. Is LSU's defense bad enough to keep UCLA in this game? I think that they're bad, but UCLA is like big bad, and I'm not sure that I can really get behind UCLA to cover, especially in such a hostile environment, going from the West Coast to the central part of the country.
UCLA, I mean, geez, you and I talked right after the Big Ten press conference, or media day, excuse me, when that coach went up there and how cringeworthy that press conference was. You and I were both like, dude, this team is going to be brutal. And they've been worse than I thought. They should have lost to Hawaii. If Hawaii had anything, Hawaii wins that game.
Yeah. No, it's hard times for UCLA right now. That's for certain. On to what I'm calling the granddaddy of them all, Uncle Rico. We've got the Arkansas Razorbacks taking on the Auburn Tigers. Right now, I believe this line has moved. Auburn, a 2.5-point favorite. Arkansas plus 120 on the money line. 56 is the total. And you give me those fighting Razorbacks, those running Razorbacks on the money line, plus 120 here. Listen, I don't think that that Auburn really has anything at quarterback. I think Arkansas's quarterback play and the run game is going to shine here in this game. I keep my eye on the total because we do have a tendency to give up a bunch of points late. I'm taking the Hogs here plus 120. I think that this is a big time revenge spot, and it's been a few years, so they're going to be chomping at the bit to get at Auburn.
Let me ask you a question. Right now, are you happy with what they are?
I mean, I'm happy because they were exactly kind of what I expected them to be, which was, maybe we don't win against Oklahoma State, but we play Oklahoma State close. We have our struggles against somebody that we shouldn't have our struggles against. And now if they win games against people that they shouldn't be winning games against, like 1 or 2 games, and make a bowl game, then I'm happy. I kind of think that this is like a 5-7, 6-6 football team, to be honest.
Okay.
So I don't know. I like Sam Pittman. I wouldn't want to see him fired just because we need some sort of continuity. Because we've just been cycling through coaches for the last 20 years. It seems like we missed the Houston Nut days. Like we forgot how good those days actually were. On to the Buffalo Bulls taking on the Northern Illinois Huskies. Northern Illinois laying 13.5. Plus 450 on the money line for the Buffalo Bulls. Total set at 43.5. I think Buffalo's a sneaky good team. I didn't play this game, but I think the Buffalo's a sneaky good team. And if I were to get on this game, I would be on the Buffalo side.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's the thing. I think this number's slowly been creeping down. I mean, let's make some money. Got the 14, which is huge. 13.5, I wouldn't play it. Actually, yeah, I would. Anything over 10, actually, thinking about it, I would. Just because I think, and I use ranked. First game being ranked. I think this is kind of the spot where you look to fade these lower level teams, getting a lot of buzz by the press triplings. And you're right. Buffalo isn't that bad to be getting 14 points at NIU. And this number is insanely inflated. I would take Buffalo here as well.
Moving on, we got Arizona State and the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Texas Tech, a 3-point home favorite, plus 145 on the money line for Arizona State. Total set at 59. I got in on this one. I watched Arizona State play against Texas State. I thought that Arizona State is a little bit better football team than I had been giving them credit for. I think they beat a tough Texas State team, a team that's still not necessarily out of the mix for the playoff yet. And I went ahead and I took Arizona State plus 145 on the money line here. I think that they can get the win outright. I think that this number, -3 for Texas Tech, is a drastic overreaction to the absolute beatdown that they put on North Texas last week.
I mean, that game was over from the beginning. I think this number is a little bit overreaction. Arizona State, perfect 3-0 to cover the season against the spread. I have a lot of action today. I was looking at this game, but I just passed.
Yeah, I went ahead. I took the shot. Let's go ahead and take that plus money shot, plus 145 on the money line for Arizona State. Moving on, we got Memphis and Navy. Memphis on the road laying 9.5. Navy plus 300 on the money line. 49 is the total. Excuse me. Yeah. Do we really want Memphis in a letdown spot after that Florida State game?
No, God, no. And it's Navy, slower pace. I would want double digits here. If this was 10 or over, I'd look to get involved. But right now, I want nothing.
Then moving on, we've got Duke, Middle Tennessee. Duke minus 14.5. Middle Tennessee plus 500 on the money line. Total set at 52. I'll tell you this. I thought that this Middle Tennessee State team was going to be big bad for the duration of the season. Don't know what to think about Duke. This is just a red hot do not touch game for me with Duke and Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah. I mean, do you really want to be the guy carrying around the Duke ticket?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Moving on, big time showdown for the weekend. We got number 12 Utah Utes taking on the number 14 Oklahoma State Cowboys. Total set, Oklahoma State favored by half a point. This is pretty much a pick 'em. Minus 110 on both sides on the money line. 54 is the total. I know I dabbled. Did you get in on this?
I want nothing. We still don't know what's going on with Cam Rising. The one thing I've learned in my years of doing this is if I have a secret and I want no one to know, I'm telling the Utah coaching staff. Because those guys are as tight-lipped as it comes. I mean, do you remember a couple of years ago, or maybe it was last year, Rising wasn't going to play? And, literally nobody knew. The game started, everyone was like, where's Rising? He's like, he's out. This staff is as tight-lipped as it is in the country. I have futures on both teams. I have futures on Utah to make the college football playoffs, OK State to win the Big 12. I'm just going to sit back. I'm just going to wipe my hands, and whatever happens with this game.
I went Utah on the money line. I think that Utah defense is legit. I think that they can shut down Ollie Gordon, and because it hasn't really taken much to shut down Ollie Gordon so far this season. So I think that Utah is the play on the money line, or you could take the points. It's the same thing pretty much. So I went minus 110 Utah here, and I'm with you. They are tight-lipped. I got a feeling Cam Rising plays, but it's nothing more than a feeling, to be honest. Moving on, 3:15. The Vanderbilt Commodores taking on the Missouri Tigers. Missouri, it literally just ticked down while I was looking. We're an 18.5 point favorite, now an 18-point favorite. Vanderbilt plus 700, total set at 52.5. No, thank you.
Huge pass.
UTEP, Colorado State. Colorado State, after playing Colorado last week, laying 9 points against the UTEP Miners. UTEP plus 275 on the money line. Total set at 49. No, thank you. Also,
huge pass for me too.
Like, this is funny. When I watch this, I crave onion rings. Those are calamari. I'll have you know. Not onion rings. Okay, they're onion rings.
Doesn't it? I'm looking at it right now.
It looks like calamari to me.
To me, that looks like onion rings.
It's if they were bigger, they're all like tiny and tight, like little pieces of squid. Moving on. TCU, SMU. TCU laying 2 points. Road favorite. SMU home dog plus 105 on the money line. 58.5 is the total. SMU, how disappointing this
What's
season.
going on with their quarterback? Literally, who's playing quarterback? It's just in a revolving door. But I think the big thing we can take in from SMU is BYU, when they moved up to the Big 12, brutal first year, a lot of hype and everything. This year, SMU moving to the ACC, a lot of hype, brutal. I think from now on, we just need to remember, and it's going to happen a lot more and more with the change in dynamics of college sports, that these teams in these lower level conference, when they move up to one of the P4s, we do need to just bet their under. As much as we're hyping them, we need to just bet their unders because they struggle.
Yeah, it means bad times. We saw it all through the Big 12 last year. We're seeing it again through the Big 12 and through the other conferences. So I'm with you. I agree, Uncle Rico. Moving on, we got East Carolina and Libibity. Libibity laying 7.5. East Carolina, who I keep hearing is the most improved team in the country, plus 240 on the money line. 54.5 is the total. I don't want to touch any Liberty games. I can't remember who it was who said East Carolina is supposed to be the most improved team in the country, but I didn't want any part of East Carolina games. I haven't seen them being the most improved yet.
Yeah, I don't think Liberty goes undefeated. I just don't think this is the game that they're going to lose.
Whew. Let's make some money taking a shot, though. Say Liberty is going down. He's taking. Well, it's not a huge shot, but it's a shot with East Carolina. Toledo Rockets and the West Kentucky Hilltoppers, minus 2.5 for Toledo. Western Kentucky plus 110 on the money line. 59.5 is the total. I know you got to play here. Take it away, Uncle Rico.
I did Western Kentucky or plus 2.5. Look, spot fade of Toledo coming off a win. They were plus 310, getting 10.5 at Mississippi State. I don't care if Mississippi State's down. You're a MAC team going into SEC country, getting a win. Now you're going back to the middle of nowhere, Ohio, and just hearing how great you are and everything. Huge letdown spot. And we need to remember a lot of the pieces from this Toledo team that made it so good last year have graduated or have gone on to different schools. And Velkamp is starting for Western Kentucky. I absolutely love this kid. He came in, led them to their bowl game last year, was told, hey, you know what? You can transfer if you want, but if you come back, you're going to be the backup because we're going to get Finley from Texas State. Finley comes in, he gets hurt. Velkamp just comes back. Kid's just a winner. Leads them to a victory last year. Has 821 yards, a 6 TD to 1 INT ratio when he has played. I think Western Kentucky's offensive line is going to dominate the Toledo defensive line. Give Velkamp time to throw the ball. And I went online. I'm looking at the student newspaper, looking at the local newspaper. All you hear about is how much all these kids love Velkamp. I think we're going to get a real rally effort here. I'm going to play the spot. And I think Western Kentucky has the advantages on their offensive line versus the defensive line. I take the Hilltoppers.
California, the Cal Golden Bears and Florida State. Florida State laying 2.5 points, plus 120 on the money line for California for the Cal Golden Bears. 44.5 is the total. Who the hell is Florida State to be laying 2.5 points?
Is Mike Norvell the first coach fired? I think that's the serious bet we need to start having. Everyone thought it was the Florida's coach, who's Napier.
Right.
I mean, if they lose this game, is he out?
I think it's concerning because they've already come out and said he's safe. And what do organizations do right before they fire somebody? They come out and they say their job is safe.
Yeah.
Then it's time that they come down. So it could be Mike Norvell. I don't think that Cal winning this game is by any stretch of imagination a long shot. I think that Cal, I mean, they might be. I didn't play this game, but now I do kind of want to sprinkle on Cal on the money line just because who is Florida State. But then I also worry that the Cal magic might be gone. You know, we've seen Cal already gets a couple big wins this season. How can
I wear this? Will they ever pivot from DJU?
Do you think it's like how much money do we have invested in DJU and it just may, for what we paid for, we have to put him out on the field? Do you think that's the case?
That's the case. I wonder if you can find out how much NIL money is. All right, here we go. He got $433K last year
at Oregon State.
Yeah,
you got to think it's in the millions for Florida State.
What? Conservatively, let's say $1 million.
Conservative $1 million. Yeah. I don't know if they've got buyer's remorse yet. I don't know how they don't have buyer's remorse yet with DJU, considering how bad they've looked. But then again, like, it's not just him that looks bad. Like, it's everybody. That whole team just kind of looks like they've given up on the season.
It's just brutal, man. I mean, it's just that team's going through the motion, but it comes back. We talk about it every week, and when we do our conference previews, I know everyone gets in love with the running back, wide receiver, quarterback. Comes down to the trenches. Florida State didn't lose one; they lost two defensive linemen that were first-round talent, first-round draft picks that are actually playing and actually making a meaningful impact on the NFL at the NFL level. So, of course, this regression was expected. I just didn't think it was going to be this severe.
Right. You keep hearing about the recruiting classes that Florida State puts together. It's like, well, where's the talent? Where has it all gone that you've brought in? Moving on, we've got Northwestern and Washington. Northwestern, I believe this is their Big Ten opener, making the trip out west to Washington. Washington laying 11.5. Northwestern plus 350 on the money line. Total set at 43. I know I passed.
You know what? When you go to a Northwestern game and the thing they get pumped up the most about is a loose rabbit on the field, you can't back them. This is a pass.
FIU, UConn. UConn is a 1-point favorite at home. FIU minus 105 on the money line. This is essentially just a pick 'em. Total set at 46. No thanks.
Yeah, FIU and I broke up after last week.
Moving on, we've got Miami of Florida taking on South Florida. Miami laying 17 points. South Florida plus 600 on the money line. Total set at 65. I know I'm in on it. Are you in on this?
I'm in on it. Can we just stop with the Cam Ward Heisman talk? I've rewatched the Florida game twice. I saw numerous throws with little to no pressure when he's running to his right, throwing across his body to the left. Now you're playing a South Florida team that was able to get pressure against Alabama. To me, Cam Ward is just a walking turnover. He is going to turn the ball over in this game. You, me, and Jim were texting in our group chat, and I just said, as soon as Miami plays someone that can create pressure, I'm going to be fading them. And South Florida is going to be able to create pressure. When we look at the Miami defense, is it a good up front? Yeah, it's good up front, but what's their weakness? The back four. I think South Florida is going to be able to move the ball in the air. Brown has the ability at quarterback to extend plays. Miami, look ahead spot, short week. Vatek coming to town, conference opener. South Florida, South Florida, they have shown us for the last 2 years. They're able to compete against these big time schools. Even though they did lose to Bama, that game was tight for 3 quarters. And this game is being played in South Florida. Cristobal as a favorite is 42% against the number. I think South Florida is going to be able to pressure Ward, going to get some turnovers. I think South Florida is going to be able to move the ball. I got South Florida here. I got them at plus 17. I took plus 650 on that money line.
Give me South Florida plus the 17. That was my play as well. I didn't sprinkle on the money line, but I do like the aggressive stab. Like you said, they can hang with these big teams. They've done it 2 years in a row against Alabama. Give me South Florida to cover there. Let's go. Moving on, we've got the Tulsa Golden Hurricane and the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. La Tech. Who is La Tech to be laying 2.5 points? And Tulsa plus 120 on the money line. Total set at 57.5. This was a no thank you for me. but I would be on the Tulsa side, I think, more than likely if I were to play this one.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I would definitely take Tulsa here.
Moving on, New Mexico State, Sam Houston. Sam Houston, who is Sam Houston to lay 16 points? New Mexico State plus 600 on the money line. 44.5 is the total. Nothing here. Wyoming, North Texas, Mean Green. North Texas, a 7-point favorite after they got shellacked at Texas Tech last week. Wyoming plus 210 on the money line. 56 is the total. This Wyoming team is bad, but I stay away because I want to see how North Texas reacts after they got absolutely housed.
So look, when I'm wrong, I'll admit it, and I'm going to admit it here. I was totally effing wrong on Wyoming. This team is a definition of a dumpster fire. I want nothing to do here.
6:30, we've got Iowa, Minnesota. Iowa laying 2.5, total set at 36 points. And we've got plus 115 for Minnesota on the money line. Iowa unders are dead, which means I'm not playing very many Iowa Hawkeye games this week.
Chase, you know you want to play an Iowa-Minnesota over.
I considered it. It's 36 points. I considered it, but I'm good here. I'm good. 6:30, Tennessee, Oklahoma. Tennessee, a road favorite, laying 7. Oklahoma plus 220 on the money line. 57 points is the total. I'm just going to enjoy watching this game, I think. That's my strategy.
I got something in here, and it pains me to say this. And I hope the guy that was talking shit to me last year is watching this. But I am betting Oklahoma. Booming effing Sooner. One of the best offensive line coaches, in college football is Bill Bendahu. I think this Oklahoma line has gotten better each game, and I think we're going to see a huge improvement here against Tennessee. Also, when we look back at how the Josh Heupel offense has performed, it struggled against which team? Georgia. Georgia plays a lot of cover 3. What does Oklahoma play? Cover 3. So what the offense struggles against, the defense has played. I think the line is kind of inflated here because of Oklahoma's slow start. I think Tennessee is getting a little bit too much respect because of their dominant performance against NC State, which has been in a down year. Also, Tennessee starting a freshman quarterback on the road, laying 7 points in Norman, Oklahoma. That is way too many points. I think this number is inflated. I think we're going to see a better offensive line effort. I think Nico is going to struggle against the crowd noise that Oklahoma is going to generate. And I think Arnold's going to have a day. I took Oklahoma here. I got him at +7 and +210 on the money line.
Woo! Taking a swing. Akron Zips, South Carolina Gamecocks. South Carolina, a 27-point favorite. 16-1 for Akron on the money line. 41.5 is a total. This is a hard pass. I don't know how you let South Carolina lay 27 points after the way that they gave up that game last week.
I got nothing.
Bowling Green, Texas A&M. Texas A&M, a 22.5-point home favorite. Bowling Green, plus 900 on the money line. 51.5 is the total. I want no part of either of these teams.
Nothing.
Georgia Southern, Ole Miss. Ole Miss laying 35.5. Total set at 68.5. Money line is off. They should just roll over Georgia Southern.
Guys, Kiffin wants Dart to win the Heisman. Get your Dart Heisman tickets in right now.
Right. Baylor Bears, Colorado Buffaloes. Colorado, a 1-point favorite here. Baylor getting -105 on the money line. It's pretty much a pick 'em. 51.5 is the total.
Nothing.
Nothing here as well. Michigan State, Boston College. Boston College laying 5. Michigan State plus 185 on the money line. 45.5 is the total.
This is the game. this is the game if we're going to find out if Michigan State is real. I was impressive as hell that game 2 weeks ago against Maryland. 3 turnovers with a freshman quarterback, and you won on the road. Granted, I know it's Maryland, but I'm just saying, still impressive. With how impressive BC has been, we're going to be able to see if Michigan State actually is good this year. I'm hoping they are, but this is a pass for me.
We've got the UL Monroe Warhawks taking on Texas at home. Texas is laying 44.5. Money line, of course, off. 52.5 is the total. Have you seen the risen Jesus, a.k.a. Arch Manning, and how do you feel about his salvation for mankind?
I mean, is he good? We don't know. You know what I mean? We don't know how good he is. He is fast. You know,
he is fast.
He is fast.
Yeah.
I think for me, the question is, we don't know how long Ewers is out for. How much are they going to risk? Like, let's make some money. Said it right there. Manning isn't going to play in the second half. If they're up big, why are you going to play him? Because we don't know how long Ewers is going to be out. I think if you're going to play anything here, as crazy as it sounds, you take Louisiana Monroe plus the 44.5.
I don't dislike it. But I think I'm with you. I think it's a stay away. Purdue, Oregon State laying 2.5. Purdue plus 120 on the money line. Total set at 50. Didn't play it. Would be interested in Purdue after they got absolutely shellacked against Notre Dame last week. But like I said, I'm doing the smartest thing by sitting on my hands.
Nothing for me.
2 games left. Fresno State and New Mexico. Fresno State minus 14 total set, or New Mexico plus 425 on the money line. Total set at 60.
Nothing.
And last but not least, we got the Kansas State Wildcats and the BYU Cougars. Kansas State laying 7. BYU plus 220 home dog on the money line. 49 is the total.
I got BYU here. I played him plus 7 and plus 225 on the money line. BYU dog at home, 55% against the number, getting 3 or more, 59% against ranked opponents, 59%. Oklahoma State, K-State has Oklahoma State on deck, ranked opponent, one of the teams that you're favored with to win the conference. I think it's a huge letdown spot. My whole thing, and I've been saying this since we did our previews, Johnson cannot throw the ball. And if K-State can't run, he's going to be behind the sticks throwing against the BYU secondary that I think is a little bit overrated. I think BYU is going to load up the box, force Johnson to throw, and he's not going to be able to throw. They're not going to be able to move the ball on the ground. K-State is 104th in pass yards allowed. So I think BYU is going to have success throwing the ball. I know both their running backs are a little bit banged up. I do think both of them are going to end up playing. I think BYU has the advantages in the trenches. I think they're going to be able to move the ball. I think they're going to limit K-State's offense. I'll take BYU here plus the 7 and plus 225.
Ooh, the Unk is taking his shot plus 225 on the money line for BYU. That's it. Those are all the games for today. Let's go ahead. Let's wrap up some picks. I forgot to give Jim's picks because there were just so many of them that it was hard to keep track of here. He was on Indiana minus 28.5, JMU plus 10.5, Buffalo plus 14, Ohio State minus 24.5 first half. You can read them. Everyone can read them. They're up there.
That is a lot of effing picks, man.
Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. He doubles my 7 picks. I think he just made the font bigger on yours because he had to do some finagling for size with all of his picks that he had out there.
I mean, look, it's like cutting into his chest.
Yeah. Two more picks and it covers his mustache. My God. Uncle Rico, anything you want to shout out before we get out of here?
My round robin. I got a round robin today, a dirty round robin. My round robin is Oklahoma plus 205, USF plus 650, Louisiana minus 110, Rutgers plus 130, Western Kentucky minus 110, and BYU plus 200.
I'm going to go with a 3-team round robin here. I'm going to go with Houston on the money line plus 140. I'm going to take Arkansas on the money line plus 115 and Arizona State on the money line plus 145 for my round robin.
I like it. Let's get it, dude.
Let's get it. Guys, this has been the college football tailgate. We missed Jim today, but he will be back next week, I assume. That's going to do it for us here. We will see you next week. Enjoy a full day of football. We'll catch you next time.